Good morning, it's Vaughan at westcoastbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm going to do a video this morning on a variation on a theme, coffee mugs with lids, with little sculptures on the lids too, which my wife will do. And we sell these not massively, but I've often found that people who have barns, horses or livestock take their coffee out with them and they like a lid on it because that stops the hay from falling into the mug. Always a good thing. So I am under orders making these. Jackie did some drawings for me to sort of inspire my creative juices, some of which I don't think will be really good as coffee mugs, so I will have to modify them straight away. Like this one, I think you would, the liquid would dribble out either side of your lips, and this one is so hard to clean, I just don't think that's feasible. This one's maybe a little bit better, it's like a ship's mug. That one looks good, but I'm worried about this one and this one, so I may have to just have a flare at the top rather than just have them tapering in. 351 grams. I think that might be a touch small, so let's take a little pinch of this one, put it on there, and we've now got 380, which is about what I was saying. So, and this one is 162. So that's a little more than I thought, but I'm going to go with it because I don't know exactly what I'm going to get yet. Okay, so I always clean my bat when the clay is moist so that I don't create dust in the studio. And now we've got that little bit done, I'm going to bang it down on there, round off the bottom of the ball of clay. I'm just going to throw a mug, so I'll refer you back to my 10 series or 10 episode videos on how to become a potter, because there I show you how to do the basic centering, and it's 10 complete videos on everything you need to become a basic first time potter selling at a craft fair. So coffee mug, and Jackie wanted a rounded one, so let's start with that one. There you go. So I always do that compression of the bottom. My thumb was on the lip the whole time we were rising through there to keep the lip compressed. Now I'm going to belly this slightly. Now Jackie wanted it to just taper in, and I'll see how this looks when I've got it, but I'm a bit worried when you put your lips on it, the coffee might dribble around your lips. But we've just got a slightly bigger belly to go here. And I don't think that's too bad. I think we could drink without dribbling on that one. So I'll give her exactly what she was asking for there. I'll be trimming the bottom in a little bit, of course, and then I'll make it more rounded, which is what she was asking. Jackie's looking to do a series of 6 mugs, all different shapes. The lids will be very similar, and all with a different sculpture on top of the lid. Now, when you're looking at a belly, you've got to make sure the belly is actually strong. You don't want it to look weak. Like, well, the beer belly effect is when the belly is really low down. I think we've got very close to what she's asking for there, because I'll trim that a lot thinner at the bottom. So then we need to measure it. I've got to take the water out too. Keep these wet so they don't knock crumbs down on the pot. I haven't mentioned the new studio in the videos recently, but it's coming along fine. I'm doing a complete video on how to build a pottery studio, and it's not just the only way you can do it, but this is my way. There you go, so that's the lid size, and if I can reach the bottom with my fingers, I should be able to just get the water out this way. Be nice to have long piano fingers, then you wouldn't need a sponge on a stick. Okay, so that's the basic mug shape for this first one. Here we go with the lid. I'm throwing these lids upside down. That's a very small piece of clay, remember, so I don't want to make it too thin there because she's going to stick a sculpture on, and I need to give her some thickness of clay so she can press that little knob that she's going to make, like an animal or a head of an animal for the actual knob. And then I'm going to use my fingernail underneath of my little finger and just press against my first finger of my left hand and just make a flange. Now we don't want the flange to be too deep because otherwise it would push the coffee out of the actual mug. Get the water out. And then I'm going to use the back of the wooden rib just to kind of define that better. And then I'm going to push underneath here to lift it a touch. And then I'm going to measure it, and let's push that in because it flared out a little bit there. So let's see what size we got. Now you only get that when you've done it for 52 years. But some might be really clever and get it after a few months. It's called muscle memory and eye memory kind of thing, I guess. So, but that was a perfect fit straight away. So put the water around. And pull it off. So I am going to do a whole bunch of shapes now, and then I'm going to switch over to stop motion for you so you can watch the complete set, which will be about 12 to 15 I'm thinking I'm going to throw. So let's go with one more on the normal time. Ooh, something dry flew off then. So moving up and down is just to loosen up the clay, make sure there's no air trapped inside there. So this is going to be the one that will flare in. So it's sort of a wide ship's mug base. And then we're going to start tapering it straight away. The first ball is not going to be longer than my finger length, so I can reach the bottom again. Middle finger down the bottom, so I reach right to the bottom, and then I'm going to start the pull again and tapering in again, which means more pressure on with the outside fingers, resistance with the inside fingers. And now finger on the top to kind of compress the rim a bit. This one's got a wide base, so I'm going to put a little notch underneath for ease of getting the wire through. And I'm going to give me my little double foot thing there. And then if I can still reach the bottom, I'm not sure. Almost. I've not quite reached the bottom, but I'm close enough so I can get the tool in to create a little curve in the belly. Even though it's tapering, I think it'll be nice to have a little curve. And then we'll give ourselves a little flare out at the top there. and see what that discolor. There's a little bit of, I think there was a little bit of 455 speckle stuck in this clay. This is 516 stoneware from Pottery Supply House. Let's get the water out. And that's kind of a ship's mug. It's very similar to the mug that I already throw. Oh, let's measure the lid. See if I can get them similar in size, but that's much narrower, so we've got to get this narrower. There we go. So if I'm doing things like this, I make sure I put the lid, since they're different lid sizes, the lid will have to go next to the pot, so I always remember which lid goes with which pot. That lip is a bit tall. I don't like it to be that tall because it would knock the coffee. Although I could put a hole in the top of the lid, and I might try doing that. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. There we go, we lifted it up a bit, get the wire underneath easier. Let's see how big we are. I think this might be a bit small. Well, that's pretty good, so leaving it. So you get the idea. So let's just put you on stop motion. Okay, these have been sitting for about 2 hours. It's actually a pretty good drying day today, and so I have to wet this area down where the handle's going to go. Normally on a humid day they'd still be really soft, but it's been busy today with customers, so basically I'm just sort of softening that area where the handle will go. The bottom is still pretty good. Sounds like we've got a low-flying aircraft over here. There's actually a seaplane, but that sounds too big to be a seaplane. But it comes and lands on the riverside. But Greenwood Air Force Base is really close to us too, so just inland in Nova Scotia. Okay, so I just do that so that I can get to the point where it moves again, where it's very easy to move it. And then the handles, which I've been spraying down at the edges, are still pretty soft, but just thicken up the joint area. And then I place it where my little double tankard lip is, so it looks like it's growing out of that slightly thicker piece of clay. and then I'll let you see. I can see from the screen too as I push it in when it's actually, let's see if we got to come back a little bit there. I think, let's see if that worked. Oh yes, that's just right. And then I wiggled it a bit, fold up the bottom there to make an extra thick piece at the bottom of the handle, and then I stick this little wedge shaped thing right in there. So I can actually make sure that the thickness of the handle there is at least as thick as that up there. And then we do the same multiple times all the way around. And I use this 1-inch paintbrush to put inside, opposite the bottom where the handle is, and push my thumb and my paintbrush in so they act as a resistance to each other, and then you can smudge the handle right in. And the lids of the pieces are sitting right next to the pot, so I won't have to worry about matching them up later on. As the pieces dry, I'll put the lids on. And then I use the back of this blue paintbrush to rub them all in. The little bit of water just acts as a little slippery, but it still drags clay with the thinness of this handle, this paintbrush, so that I can pull the clay into the join area, top and bottom. And then just make a couple of, I make a couple of little thumb sized balls to stick on where the handle is, and take whatever stamp tool you use, and I just texture it a little bit so the thumb can grip it, and it's my home for the thumb. And then later, it's a bit soft at the moment, I'll just go back and straighten up the shape a little bit. It's not bad actually, but this one definitely needs straightening. And eventually I'll cut through the whole thing and put the lids on the pots before tonight's over. So here's a pot that's much drier. So I'm going to use the strap tool by Bill Wright from artisanpotterytools.com, which is much better. And these things don't wear out as fast. The trimming tool I like for softer clay, which is the R2 from Kemper, I have to buy a new one just about every month because I wear them out. And this one, you just sharpen it up. Once you've got a tool like this, it's got a large area that'll take a long time to wear down, but you've got some sharpening tools from Lee Valley Tools that you can sharpen them from as well. So here are 3 of the actual mugs with the heads on them, and these 3 are all cats. So Jackie did some dogs as well. But that kind of is fun. Anyway, for those cat lovers, dog ones, you have to wait a bit longer. So now I'm going to trim and see whether the lids need to be trimmed off a little bit more. This one sticks out quite a long way and the rim is very long. So I'm going to trim down the width of the lid. Let's turn the wheel on. There you go. So it's kind of hard because I should stick my finger just there to hold it down. I think what I'm going to do is trim it upside down because that was too hard to hold. Okay, so now I can stick my finger in there and hold it down a bit and just trim that lid so it's a little bit smaller. The overhang was just too much. I'm going to feel it just to see. It's still overhanging quite a bit. So I cut the rim down. I'll do another lid in a sec because I forgot to turn the camera on for that. Just round it off a little bit. So that's much better as a rim, because otherwise when you put the lid on, it would push the coffee out the side. Now I'm going to see how big it is. A little bit there. That's a much better size. Take that off again. I'm just going to run my finger as it turns, smooth off the edge a bit. Of course, there are other things we could do at this point. It's a cat, so I guess it's quite possible that chattering could make it look like fur. So let's see, do I have the right tool here? I don't want to catch the cat's head. Got to be careful I don't catch that nose of the cat going around. That's nice. It's delicate but not too much. I wonder if I could get closer in though. Oh, that's, oh, look at that. So that's the closest I could get anyway. Clay's a little soft for chattering. I left it a burr up, but I can easily get rid of that. See, that's how soft the clay is. It's actually leaving a burr on. Chattering, the stuff should just fly off. There you go. I think that looks nice. It's just enough chattering. I'll give you a closer look. Oh, I've got to knock off any sharp edge just there. So I think you see that made a big difference. That's a nice little accent to the cat's head. Of course, we've got to trim the bottom next. These are sort of still soft a bit, so I normally wouldn't trim at this stage, but I'm just trying to finish these off. And I'm using this R2 tool from Kemper because it's a really good one for when the clay is just a little soft. It's at such a fine edge there that it doesn't leave any, the clay sort of flies off. Trimming should be when the clay is leather hard, and this is still softish. So you can cheat on lots of things in clay, but it just makes your life more difficult. So I guess I should say, why bother? And then I can, at this stage, because it's so soft, you can really smooth it out with your finger rather than using the pebble, which is what I use sometimes. And that's still stuck on there because the clay is soft. You can still smooth the handle out because it's so soft. But now it's finished. Get the little flecky things and just run your finger. If it's this soft, you can run your finger up and it'll just get rid of any little bumps of clay that are actually in the way. But that looks good. I'm not going to try carving or doing anything on the pot. I'm going to look at it from the top, make sure it's still rounded, yes. Stick it away. There's a little bit of clay stuck in that little area underneath there. We can brush it off once it's drier. And that's a nice loose fit. And if the rim was deeper, I would put a hole in here so that the actual liquid, when you do this, it wouldn't push the liquid out. And I might still do that anyway. But there's a really nice little special mug that'll keep your coffee warm longer, and it's a piece of artwork as well. This one is a little bit drier. And this one is a perfect fit, but how deep is the... Oh, it's not a very deep rim either, so I can leave this one. That one, the lid is fine. I'm just going to chatter it, I think. Sounded like he was doing a nice job. Do a bit more. And then run my finger on the edge just to make sure it's not sharp. And that's the texture for the fur. Don't need to do anything to the top, the lid fits perfectly. And then just going to put a little foot on, and this is it. I'm going to do this now to all of the jars. There are 14 or 15 of these. Last time Jackie did these, they sold straight away, so what I'll do in this video is I'll take some, I've got some photographs actually of really old ones that we did a long time ago, just to show you the potential for doing other images besides animals. I mean, I use birds and fish. Jackie's always put cats and dogs' heads on things too. But we've done lots of things in the past. We even did a chef once. A chef sitting on the top of a jar. And if anybody knows, it was John Novi in High Falls who was a really good chef. And Jackie made a piece that was kind of homage to John Novi. And I'll put that in the video if I can find it. There you go, we got a nice mug. Lid fits perfectly. Nice little rattle so that you know it's not too tight. And there it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut the rim down so that there's about 1.5 centimeters. That's all I did. And then use my finger to round it off a little bit. And then round off the bottom underneath there too. You could even take a bit of that out just to make it more level where it sits on the jaw. You can thin down the lip just to give it a bit more rattle so the glaze thickness won't make it too tight. That'd be awful if they didn't fit. We have to get used to those things in clay though, because sometimes the unexpected happens. That's why I always make my lids have a little rattle so that when you've got it on there, it's not that much of a rattle. It's less that way than it is that way, so that means it's a bit ovaled out, so I'm just going to push that in a bit there. Be careful if you do that, it might crack. And that's a bit better. Got a good rattle. So let's trim the bottom.